Well guys, I've done an overnight carp session here at Berry Fisheries, and I'm going to go on to Bonds Lake just to show you, if you've got some leftover carp bait and you don't have to go to work the next day, maybe throw it in here and see if you can't catch something. I've got no match tackle. I've got my regular match reels, not match reels really, they call them match reels, but they're anything reels, 6-pound line. I'll use a lighter with my 2 carp rods, feeder, 8mm pellets, see if I can't bang something out in the last 2 hours. Rather than just throw it in, I will, and I'm going to put it in just down there around that bush area. First thing in is a ground bait. Some people tackle up first, but I'm on a bit of a fast ticket here. Look, got a bit of ground bait, a bit of rubbish here, boilies. I think there's squid boilies or something. I won't be using boilies, I'm just putting them in because that's what I've got. Squeeze it quite hard. Otherwise all the small fish will take them. I think I'll put the boilies in separately. Probably won't even be using them. I know I won't be using them, so I'll rig a couple of these carp rods up and see what we can come up with. Right, so I've got a mix of ground bait up, and I'll put in there as well some 8mm pellets and some small little, I don't know what they are, 2mm I think, just to pad it out a little bit. Going to be using this method feeder and one of those 8mm pellets just banded on there. I've had to double up because I haven't got my Avon rods. I've got the lightest carp rods I've got, which are about £2, 2¼ test curve, so they're well overkill. Stuff like bream and that. But I have got my normal fishing reels with me with 6-pound line. So I'm going to put a squeeze a ball of ground bait around that, drop it down here. I might fire one out by that duck and just put them in the buzzers. I've got my little drop arm, wheelbarrow arm there with my 2 buzzers on. I'm going to be watching them. I don't think I'll be fishing with buzzers. I'm just going to watch the rod top. Hopefully it buckles round, and all this bait is just left over. I'm not bothering with any moulds or anything like that. I'm just putting a gob of ground bait on there. And the wind's coming up quite tight like that, and then what they do is they just push their pellet in the top like that. So as the fish nibble away there, this comes out with the other ones and look all natural. I mean, I'm virtually under that bush. In fact, I've got to lower it in. Better check the drag. I've left a little bit of slack there. I don't think I can be bothered to use a backrest. I'm just going to watch the top as that pulls down. If I'm looking away filming, I'm going to hear the buzzer anyway. And I think the other one I'm going to throw out there. I haven't put any feed out deep because I haven't got enough ground bait. It's a size 10 hook. And I've been well impressed with these. They're very sharp. I can't tell you the make because they weren't not a sponsor. They're called B911, I think it was, and there might be a different one in there, but it was a 10 and it was very, very sharp. So you just take your band, put it on a gizmo, stretch it apart, pop your pellet in there of whatever size you want. You know, you don't have to use 8mm. I just got 8mm because these have a nice smell to them, and obviously I don't get pestered by too smaller fish. Get my feeder. Now this feeder, so people know, is a sort of a bolt. You call it like a method feeder, but a bolt rig feeder really. It's clipped in there, but that can pop out. So as the fish picks up here and moves away, it comes up solid, and it makes it spook and pull harder, and then you can get off quite a take. Make sure, I always say, put the reel on back wind. I don't overfill these feeders, just enough to give me a little bit of casting weight. And this one, I don't know what this rod is, specimen rod, probably a couple of pound Tesco, 2¼ Watch your overheads if you are casting, beginners and juniors. Just watch. You've got trees there. And what I do is if I get a tangle on the tip, I'll wind down like this, tweak it, just make sure I can feel it running like this, and then I can throw it out. You don't have to put this pellet, look, like this, I should show you. You don't have to put it on the top. That's just the way I think they do it normally, but you know me and normal don't go together. And hopefully not up the trees or on the island. Check drag. Oh, that's fierce drag. Some barbel set in that one. So on back wind, yeah. Sit back and sandwich time, I feel. Got to admit, after an all-night session on the main lake, I am, and that's my last all-night session I'll be doing there ever, I think. I'll grab a bit of grub guys and just let these fish get on there. Might catapult a bit of loose feed out there. These bags are handy because you can reseal them. So this is what I use for carp feed as well. You can put those in your mesh bags or in your solid bags for helping with the feed. I didn't do it on the main lake because I didn't want to get pestered by bream, but generally I'll be using that. So I'll always keep one of these spare in the bag, in the wheelbarrow, sack barrow, whatever you call it, carp barrow. I'll just spray a few out there. I think that was far enough. Here come the ducks. Well, that's the fish fed. Now it's time to feed me. It's always nice to see that first bite. Well, hard to believe, but I've actually lost 3 in between trying to eat sandwiches. So they are taking it, but weird sort of bites because the rod doesn't pull over in a nice even curve like it does with a quivertip rod. You know, if I'm fishing with an Avon quivertip, it's much softer. This one's much stiffer, so it's hard. You know, judge, and then ping, it comes off. But anyhow, it is what it is. Bit of a breeze coming up there now, doesn't hurt. They're not going mad. Look, there's fish, there's a ring there, fish moving. People are picking the odd fish off. I'm tempted to float fish there, but I'm going to stick with this because I'm using up bait. And look, I haven't got a lot of bait left there. There's enough, about a dozen or so fills of those feeders, maybe a bit more. But the thing is with a pellet, they stay on there a long time. They do stay on, and you're on a barbless hook with a band, so if you had maggots or worms on a barbless hook, they might wriggle off and you're sitting there with a bare hook. But with the pellets, the 8mm size especially, I think it perhaps pulls a slightly bigger fish. But listen, anything I get now is a bonus because I've already done a night session. That's another film. If I can winkle 1, maybe 2 fish out of this, anything, bream, carp, tench, anything. I've got a feeling that the carp are going to move in later on. I see some mud come up close in as well, but they're not going crazy. Gentleman over there and here, I think he's had one. I've not seen that chap have one. There's a couple of splashes, but a lot of people sitting around doing nothing at the moment, and the weather is just on the change. We go straight under the bush and out the other side. Who's in? I don't know how good they are. That was lucky. Try and get him under this other rod. Now I might be lucky now. It's lucky to get him out of those trees. He still wants back. Oh, he's certainly going. Look at the mud he's churned up there. Fight like a catfish, this one. I've got my enormous trawl net there from last night's carp, and I hate these big nets. Bigger carp than I thought I would catch. I'd have been pleased with this last night. Common carp. There we go. Leftover bait, eh? Mind you, you need the stamina of the TA fishing team to fish all night and then go up, bait up and fish another day. Yeah, I do wonder with that method feeder like this, when you're fishing close in, the line's tight up and down, and I get quite a few line bites. When you're casting further out, the line's at a lower level, you don't seem to get quite so many line bites or spook the fish. So what I've done is I've sort of slacked both off, if you like, because the fish have only got to move 2 inches and they'll come up against a feeder, and that should make them bolt that weight, and it could just hold the hook in place. And I'm wondering then, would the line just rest on the bottom a little bit? So I'm slacked off. I've also taken it off back wind because I'm out. Yeah, I'm now fishing, I'm right on the rods. So I've got the reels with the anti-reverse on, and I've backed the drag off a little bit because I'm fishing 6-pound line, but I am fishing carp rods, and you can't do big heave-ho strikes, you're going to pop the fish off. So what you basically got to do is just pick the rod up, just lift the rod up, don't strike hard, just lift into it, because hopefully that feeder is actually holding the hook in place. It's a theory anyway. That last one was quite a good take, and it's just literally just down there. I wish I had some more ground bait to put in, but that's all I've got is what's left over. I might give him a few more pellets maybe. Straight on, guys. Straight on. It seemed to be better with that line being a bit slack. Now I can come up on a drag a bit. Look at the mud down there stirred up. I'll try and fight this one underneath the line of the other one, keep them away from those trees if I can. Doesn't feel such a big fish. In fact, wow, he's going well on this carp right there. There we go. He's another sort of 6 or 7 pounder by the look of it. There we go, good looking fish. And yes, get it straight back if we can. Got another one on the outside swim. So there it is. I'm just going to lower it. Not too tight to that bush. I was just about there. That's not even a cast, is it? It's not even a cast. It's a drop. You can't even say that's a rod length out. And I'm sitting well back off the stage, and I'm not on the staging at all. I've got it in my barrow rest, and I've got it on my food packet. But I am leaving that just a little bit slack there. Right. I was doing this before I was just rudely disturbed by that fish. I'm getting more in here, but that's probably because my accuracy, I can just throw these out like this. Whereas I haven't got enough feed here. Oh god, kick the rod. I haven't got enough feed here to start spraying it all over that there. I'll give them one catapult full, having said that. I don't like wasting these because I can always use them barbel fishing. So that was leaving it limp.
Yeah.
And so I literally, he's come off.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's come off. I'll show you the rig. Yeah, just lost. He just pinged off, you see. That's what I had last night. I had fish to ping it off.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's it. That's mine.
That's it.
Like
You've got to make sure that pinches in there.
Yes.
So when they go come this far and they go, oh bugger, and then they'll like that one.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
out, you know.
gone.
They hold together well enough in a pattern. Quite accurate. Right, one more would be nice. And I'm fishing now, locked and loaded. Look at that, there's an accident waiting to happen. And this lake, which is called Bonds, this can be good for roach in the winter. I had one nice roach out of here once, but I think it's a winter water, so for roach that is, that's what they tell me. And that's float fishing. I guess you could use a feeder on a quivertip, but not a method feeder, obviously. Be too heavy for the roach, I feel. You probably hook them, but you might not be the most efficient method. I think a weighted float would be better. I'm on again in the margin rod. Well, it's gone a little bit quiet. Maybe they're eating all that feed. Well, all that feed, what's left. I don't want to overdo it. I'm trying to stretch it through. And of course you've got to have the net there in the good luck position, just slightly tilted towards the fish. Sometimes it doesn't work from that side so well, but if a lot of my films you're going to see that's flipped up the net, and it's always, I don't like it flat, I like it to the right. A little superstitious thing. And I've got 2 fish to show for it, so I'm not about to change now. Got a little bit quiet, but with this method, you know, that last fish probably spooked them all, and it's taken a while for them to come back in again. Just got to watch under that bush because I can feel that twanging. I should have actually checked the hook link on that fish, to be honest, because it was rubbing and twanging through all the tree roots and leaves there. As soon as I hook a fish, I've got to go that way out and hold the rod out. See that now? Well, a couple of holes in the cloud up there, so the sun's coming out, which is nice to see. And I have to say, I've got another fish as you saw there. Leaving that slack does seem to make a bit of a difference. I don't know, I'm not getting so many line bites. What I am getting is a bite that can convert into a hook fish. So maybe that's the way, a little bit of slack line there. Just experimenting. Here comes the lawnmower, so that's the microphone done. End of September. You do get some of these days like this when they clear up in the afternoon. Mid-afternoon, it's gone away beautiful now. Just enough heat in the sun, it makes you want to sit there. And I know I'm going to be late for my plumber and electrician. Just the way it is. I have to tell him it was heavy traffic. I'm sure a lot of you have done the same. Oh, delicious. One more fish, one more fish. I've done better than I thought I would have had 6. Lost some as well. The lawnmower man's, thank God he's gone. Geese, I think, have flown south for the year. Just a nice time. Autumn is always a nice time. Autumn and very early winter. October can be an excellent month if you get the right weather. I just need one of these to crash around one more time. One more time. 6 is an even number. The net is in the magic position. More bubbles out there. I can see there's a bite on the left hand rod. More bubbles beyond that as well, so they are digging around a bit out there. Definitely noticed that slack seems to reduce the line bites. There's a fish right down there, I can see ripples. I might have one more cast out each. Guys, that's all I've got left of the ground bait left over from last night's fishing. I've caught an extra 6 carp on bait that would probably have thrown in or fed to the ducks. Even better now, fed them to the fish. Oh, rat! Swimming rat. Check if he squeak, he'll dive. There you go, you see him? A dirty rat, 40. It was a dirty rat for a dirty great rat. Oh, I'm glad I haven't got a bivvy up here tonight. Swimming rats. Well, I've got another one with the 5-minute warning, guys. That's in 3 hours fishing. Hopefully if I get this, it'll be number 7. So I've hooked 3, I think I lost. So it could be 10 fish hooked. And that is, well, not even barely enough for one more feed to throw out. Come on, boy. Come to that net. Smaller fish, looks like that. He's got another one hooked up. Why is this? Got one in the net. I've got another one hooked up here. Two at the same time, hey? Actually, I just got it in the net before this one went off. Might be a bit bigger. Oh. Oh, he came off. He came off, not to worry, guys. It's home time. And there we go, there's a common in here. God, I've got myself in a mess here. Nice chunky 5-pound fish to finish off with. Let's get that one back in the water and get packed up. I'm getting really tired now, guys. I didn't get much sleep last night. A couple of hours. So everybody's got burnt out, seeing at my age do 2 sessions back to back like this. But thanks for watching the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Don't throw that bait away, save it, even if you use it on another session. But I mean, like here, if they've got several lakes, you might do a night on a carp lake and think, well, I don't really want to go home. Well, try one of the match lakes they've got, something like that. All fisheries have more than one lake. The big ones, you know, the big complex ones, so might be worth a try out. So don't throw that bait away, save it, use it, freeze it. We'll see you next time. This is empty, but yes, it's there while I pack up. Well, there you go, a bit of action on leftover fishing bait from a previous carp tip. Don't throw anything away. So here we are in the Totally Awesome Film Workshop, the new one, the different layout. We got rid of the pool table, if you remember, and I've got this nice table. And what I have made is some different painted boards for background drops. So if I'm doing any close-up to show you guys, I've got different ones. I painted a grey one up, I've got a white one, and I found a couple of different black ones. One's matte black, well, not that I know matte black very well, but matte black or just plain sort of polystyrene. Now, on the subject of those feeders that I was using, I did find not a problem for me that I feel is worth passing on to you. So I'm going to get one of these. Let's try the white one. And I'll show you what I mean. Now these feeders, when I had mine, just came with, if you can see this, I'll put it down here. Let me just see if I can get this off. Let's get the readers on first. Let's get ourselves organised here. So the feeder, obviously the line goes through here and it just pinches in there, just like that. You can see that obviously against the white. There you go, white works. Just pinches like that. So it just goes in a little bit. I'll just do it basically just to show you. That's your sort of bolt rig set up there. So I thought, I've been carp fishing all night, I'm really getting pretty tired. I'll just tie a loop on the end of there, and then down here my hook link, and obviously my hook and my bait. Fine. When I get in a snag, jerking around like a jerk does, and it came off. I thought, what's happening there? Worse, I then lose a fish on it. So I thought, I know they should have pretty well every time a swivel, but whether I've taken the swivel off and used it for pipe fishing, I don't know. So here you go, look there, just a small swivel, and this goes on a sort of angled, I don't know what you call it, just an angled bit of loop there to slide it on. But what you've got to remember is you've got to use a swivel eye that does work properly. And also, talking of eyes, let me get this on first, there we go. So it sits, stop swinging, like that. Then obviously the line goes into the feeder, and you can change these hook links, remember, from this swivel down to your hook. You can put what you want on there. You can change these. I just thought there might be beginners that don't realise, you know, keep that swivel to go into that link, because that way you can change links far easier. And a loop of line, to me, I mean, I've had mistakes with it, but 2 loops must have got in there and just got off somehow, I don't know. So it's just a tip. Anyway, that's that one. Hell of a good feeder though. I'm not saying this mate, just the actual method feeding. Boom, goes on the bottom because it's all weighted at the back. On the subject of feeders, hard to believe, but I used to catch on some feeders that a gentleman gave me, made from practice. I'm going to call them practice or air golf balls with all the holes in it. You cut them through. If you watch all our films, you will probably have seen them. I still use them. I do actually catch on those, to be honest. Anyhow, change glasses. In that same box, I was rummaging through it and I thought, wow, that's really cool. That's something different. It's a different type of feeder, homemade again, which I love all that homemade stuff. Money saved is money earned. Let me show you how this gentleman's made this feeder. So I'll put them like that, and they don't look very much, do they? You think, how does that work? Well, I'm going to call it a pipette type thing here, which is a piece of rigid plastic. I've no idea what it is. It could be the inside of a biro, a pen. And on the end of that, it's just been sort of, it looks like it's been melted back a little bit, but it's longer one side than the other, so that I believe it holds the line up and doesn't perhaps tangle. But look at can anybody see what that is? Bring up to the camera a bit closer. Yeah, it's just like a pillbox top or canister or spice, you know, jar that somebody's made, a jar of some description. And I thought, what a good idea that is. Now what he's done is, I don't know, it's a pop rivet, I think there's pop rivet there, a piece of, looks like aluminium, shaped it, obviously allow for that pipette piece, a little pipe to go, or biro tube to go down in there, pressed it round really neatly, and there looks like pop rivets there to hold the weight. So, let me show you this one. There's the shop one, there's the weight. There's a homemade one, there's the weight. So they should land like that, shouldn't they? These, all you do is just get a gob of ground bait in your hand, pack it over the top, cast it out. And if you have your reel line coming from the rod top this direction, down the bottom here, you have the same principle, a small swivel, and then, yes, your hook link back here. So it's almost a sort of a method feeder with, well, it's just made out of a screw top cap. And I imagine the fact that it's a screw top rather than a pop off, I think there's a thread there, helps hold the ground bait in there. Look at that. Is that not clever? Is that not clever? That is so simple. Somebody thought that up. Save themselves some money. Why buy it when you can make it? I mean, obviously, much easier to walk in a tackle shop and buy one, of course it is. But imagine the satisfaction this gentleman must have had making these, sitting down thinking, do you know what, I'm going to make a ground bait feeder out of the top of a canister. And I think around the edge, I don't know if it comes with this, but I can feel like there's a bit of rubber or something around there. I don't know whether he's actually put a band around there and glued it, or whether the lid actually came with that. These will get used in a totally awesome fishing show at some stage, and I promise you, they will catch fish. Let's move on. Last week I went back down to the River Kennet. Hadn't been there for years. I looked online, and the online people said, don't go unless you want to throw your money away on a ticket and just catch crayfish. So I thought, yeah, but I don't believe them, because I used to catch double figure barbel, 6 pound plus chub, nearly 4 pound perch. I thought, wow, I've got to go back, it'd be brilliant. No, the guys were right. It's not, it's absolutely appalling. I talked to the owner and they said the fishing is, you know, gone downhill with otters, cormorants, and yes, crayfish. But what I did notice, having talked to a couple of other carp anglers, at one lake, not this one, this was a River Kennet, I'm after barbel and chub and stuff, on one of the carp lakes, the guys were saying, talking about, they're actually getting bitten off by crayfish now, there's so many there. Not only are they biting off the boilie, you know, on the hair rig, sometimes they're snipping through the whole line. So you're just sat there all night with not only no bait on, no rig on the end. And what I found, although I was float fishing on the River Kennet, fine, it's a moving bait. When I wound in both ledger rods, not one, both, I was looking at it, I thought, what's happened to the end of that line by the hook? And you know what it is? I think it's crayfish. Let me show you. So there's the hook. I'm just going to pan up. Put my finger there, is the normal fishing line, but just look, this section here has been crushed and kinked. Now this camera's not going to show it close up, but you know, with the human eye you can see there's kinks all in that, and I can feel that when I run it between my fingers, and it is sort of crushed, or I think that's what it is. It's a sort of rough feeling to it, but you can see down the line there, it's fine, but you come back up here right by the hook, there's lots of little ridges there, just there. And I think what's happening, let's pull that camera back, Mr. Crayfish is crawling along, and trust me, I had plenty there, it's been a future film, chomping on the bait here, but their pinchers up holding the bait via the line up here. So they're crushing it down. And I'm thinking, that's exactly what those carp people told me. And that was 2 different occasions, 2 different carp anglers saying they were getting totally bitten off by crayfish. Now, I'm not out there all night fishing, so I'm unlikely to get bitten off by the crayfish. But what did bother me was the fact that that's weakened the line, hasn't it? And if it's weakened the line, I don't want to be hooking Mr. 12 pound barbel, playing him for a while, he gets in a bit of weed or something like that, streamer weed, if there's any weed ever left in the rivers. I'm pulling away from the downstream position with weed, streamer weed, bang, it goes, it's going to snap. So a couple of tips, look at the last couple of inches, you know, if you are getting bites from crayfish, and I would recommend snipping off and retying. It's just not worth the risk, because the fishing is harder and harder and harder in rivers. It's just getting worse and worse. And if you do get a good fish, let's face it guys, you deserve it. You don't need to lose it. Retie with a fresh piece of nylon. I've got to have to lay down with all these tips in a minute. Next, it's just interesting stuff. I thought, what am I going to call this? It's like on Mike's TA Outdoors, we used to do a thing called, in one of his cabins or his camps or anything like that, theory time. And I used to love it, all the people with theory time. So think of this as a sort of theory time. And I'm going to throw some really random stuff in there as well, like this one. This was a painful one. We all know about Mr. COVID when he comes to town. So most of us have got, you know, PPE. Yeah, we've got the mask. I'm sure it will come, and when it comes this winter, if it does come, I will be wearing another mask, because at my age, I don't need to get flu or COVID or anything. It stops me fishing. So, I think a lot of people out there might be like me, and you just get used to it. You take the mask off, you pull your flap down the sun visor, pop it over there, fold it back up, right? It's easy to get to, isn't it? I may be wrong, maybe nobody ever puts that under their sun visor, but I think they might do. Well, I'm going out one day, on that hot weather, pull the sun visor down, put the mask on, just about to get out of the car, and went, oh, what's that? Oh, it must be a bit of grass or something spiked me. Didn't think anything of it, 3 days later, I'm getting a lump right just here. Well, what's that all about? Is that a mosquito bite or what? It's just got bigger, the skin went really rough around the outside of it. So Mike, number 1 son, I got him to come over. I said, Mike, check this out, because he has ticks and all that sort of thing, so he knows what to look for, bites. And he looked at it, you know, with a magnifying glass, and I said, I can see 2 red lines. He said, 100%, it's a spider bite. So guys, be very careful, because that skin around there, you'll see it in earlier films, it went really nasty in some of the films. I could put them out as a Hammer horror film, couldn't I? Anyway, it's healed over. I've got a permanent scar there. Wait for this. I've still got the 2 fang marks just left there from this spider that had got into and wrapped a little nest maybe in the visor in that hot weather, because let's face it, if it's a nice cloth one tucked up near the top, you're making a lovely little bed for him. So beware. Either throw your disposable, as Lisa said, away in the rubbish, not on the fields or anything like that, but just be aware, maybe put them in a plastic bag and then put them in the sun visor. It's just a tip. And talking of tips, oh my goodness me, I go shopping with the wife. Now, I don't really enjoy shopping with the wife, because if I go shopping, I want 4 beers, a packet of Pringles and a toothbrush. And I come out with 4 beers, a packet of Pringles and a toothbrush. But when the wife goes in, she says, I just want, I've got to get some milk and some bread, and that's it. Okay, fine. Whiz, whiz, whiz. No, oh no. 14 things appear in the basket, don't they? And you know, beep, beep, beep. Hang on. She only wanted whatever, bread and milk. What's going on? Where's all this? Where's this stuff come from? Impulse buying. I don't like it. I want to buy what I buy. But the tip here is, I was picking some bait up as well, sweet corn and stuff, and I noticed the wife's going 1, 2 of that, of that. I said, well, hang on. Check the dates. Why? It's perfectly in date. It is perfectly in date, but the good stuff is at the back of the shelf. Now, I was a shopkeeper, so I know you have to rotate stock. But I'm just trying to say, for you people in the cost of living crisis, you want your food to last as long as possible. We all do. If you check the date on the front of the shelf, let's say, whatever it is, butter, I don't know. If it's one that's going to break down, you know, you want it to last as long as possible. 4th of August, let's say. If you reach down the back and pull it out, it might say, oh, 9th or 10th of August. So they constantly rotate and put the older stock at the front, you know, that's going out of date. So why don't you just take the trouble to reach through the back, have a look and see what the date is. A lot of you will try this, I promise you. A lot of you, if you don't do it already, you should do. It just gets, not so much the fresher stuff, but you get more out of it. Rather than use a product that's going to break down, you go, oh, it looks a bit, you know, there's fungus on the jam, throw it away. This way, you're buying fresher, aren't you? I do with the bait, I want to check, you know, if it's going to break down, anything like that. Hot dogs, you think, what's the date on those hot dogs? Let's get some that, you know, last longer. Just another totally awesome tip for you. It's a shopping one, that's a weird one to throw in there. Moving on. Somebody sent me these, they're called, no, we're not selling them. They just got sent to me. Can you have a go with those, see what you think? Well, I haven't been beach fishing yet, but I think these things you can use coarse fishing as well, we'll check. I think they go 3.5 to 4 mil or something like that, the size. They're these, if you haven't seen them. And they're called, or made by Rig Shark. It's a tip light. And all it does is say, push the battery in, let me open one up. Push the battery in to activate. And it goes allegedly for hours and hours and hours. Now, when it says push battery in, I've got to find the battery yet. But it's got a little clip, or 2 clips here. I think it's that way, or is it that way? It opens up like that, and it's got a little foam liner in there. So here's your rod top. You can put it over the rod top, and when you close it, it won't pinch on the fiberglass or carbon or whatever you got on your rod top. Click, just snap shut like that, and that makes a light. But it says it's 100% waterproof. So I'm thinking, I wonder if they work like a Solarlium light stick under the water. So it's something that maybe sea fishermen could think of, not just for off the beaches, you know, and I will be using these, you know, because the nights are coming in, whiting fishing, allegedly cod fishing off the beach. What a laugh that will be. But well, it's been a few caught those small codding, I think. Is because it's got that hinge effect there, I wonder if you use I'm going to say a Clements boom, which is a running boom for sea fishing on the bottom, what about if you, on the boom itself, snap this around the wire of the boom? Does that make sense? And then sent it down deep. Would it attract fish during the hours of darkness, or indeed coloured water, say Bristol Channel? It might work. Or you could even put a hook here, a swivel to stop it sliding down, and that would then slide up and down between the boom and the swivel, You don't know, you don't know. So that's a reef light. Gets 2 in a pack there. You can get spare batteries for them allegedly as well. And look for a future episode of one of our fishing shows. And therefore you should see me using them. It can be used maybe on the rivers as well. Just got to check the size of or diameter of your rod top. Right, what else have we got here? Oh yeah, that was a weird one I had. So Mike, from TA Outdoors, has been growing some vegetables, okay, like you do, as you do. And he's growing, instead of hanging cucumbers, ones that trail along the ground. Well then, the press got quite interested in one of his cucumbers, as it were. And he said, Dad, come round and have a look at this one. So I went round, I thought, I've never ever, and I've done quite a bit of gardening, I've never seen one do a total 360. It's disappearing up its own cucumber area. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen that happen before. I've seen the deformed ones, twisted ones, and of course the supermarkets, they wouldn't like circular ones that you could throw like a frisbee or a boomerang. They want lovely straight ones, which is kind of crackers because there's nothing wrong with this cucumber. It's a cucumber that has grown in a very peculiar direction. So, anybody out there know, is it the drought that's caused this? Why have the other cucumbers on this trailing bed of cucumbers he's got not distorted? Why has this particular one gone total 360 and looks exactly like a swan? I even took it down to the pond, made a little nest out of straw, sat it on it and did a bit of filming. And it is pretty cool. There you go. What other weird vegetables have you guys out there seen this summer? No, we don't want any bizarre comments, please. Oh dear, I'm going to have a lay down all these tips. This new theory time, let us know on the comments page if you enjoy it. It's just something random on the end of fishing films. If you don't like them, I won't do them. If you think, oh, that's quite interesting, because I've got to be the only show that's putting really bizarre stuff out there. I suppose it is, really. What else we got on the list? Oh yeah, I've got to talk about it. We all know carp like boilies. Now boilies, for those who don't know, is a round, circular, hard little ball about 15-18 mm in diameter, made commercially for the carp fishing market. Highly successful. I use them as well. They're designed, or were many years ago, to stop small fish nibbling away baits so that you don't sit there all night with nothing on the hook. That's exactly what they were made for. So you can cast out and by the next morning the little fish can't get it. The only take you will get will be from a fish that is large enough to take that 15-18 mm boilie, whatever size it is. And they make them in a variety of colours, flavours, scents, ammonia, anything, everything. There's so many flavours and scents and everything out there, it's almost endless. So I'm thinking, as you do when you're not getting any runs from carp, so you've got a lake full of carp, it's to stop the small fish nibbling away the boilie. I get that, but supposing there's a lake full of carp and not that many small fish, because you're talking biomass diversity here. In other words, if you've got, I'm going to say, argument's sake, 20 carp in this room, right? They need a certain amount of food to survive other than the food you're throwing as a boilie. If you've got loads of small fish in there, roach, rudd, perch and all that, that's building up that biomass. So they're going to be eating all the natural insects, so there's less for the carp to eat. There's less for everybody to eat because the biomass is huge. So if you've got a biomass of carp and small fish, but not that many small fish, they can't nibble away the boilie anyway. The idea is so they don't nibble away the boilie. I get it, I understand that bit. But what happens if there's not enough carp in there to eat all the boilies that all the anglers throw in? I thought, that calls for a totally awesome experiment. Into my garden pond, which I recently cleaned, goes some boilies. PVA bag and mesh bag. They both break, but I still like the mesh bags better than the PVA solids. You can see the breakdown in the water, see the breakdown of them. So I thought, I'll go out the next morning and see what's out there. It's summer, it's clear. They're still there. I'm not surprised really, because there's nothing in the pond to eat them. There's not even insects. I've only just cleaned it all out. Day 2, they're still there. Well, they're going to break down. Obviously, they're going to break down. Day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, they're still there. Guys, how about 2 weeks later? They are, for all I know, they're still in there. They're still in the pond. So does anybody out there know how long it takes a boilie to break down in the water other than with fish. I don't know myself. It's just an experiment. It's another one of those theories in my head, churning around at night. How long can a boilie take? And more, what happens to them? Do you end up with a big mountain of boilies that don't get eaten if everybody casts at the same spot? I guess you do. You obviously need quite a lot of carp to eat quite a lot of boilies. Right, moving on. Finally, relatively amusing occurrence. I'm out there doing my gardening. This is only yesterday, 2 days ago now, sorry. Stripping away. Ear defenders on. I'm attacking everything that's more than 1 millimetre high. So I go around this little corner where I used to have mice, not personal friends or anything like that. I trapped them there because I didn't want them in the other sheds. So there's a hole there. Next thing I know, whoa, what's that? A wasp after me. Wow. I look down, they're in the mouse hole. Well, I'd already got rid of one big wasp nest up in our roof. Fine, I've moved them on, it could be the same ones. I also, which you guys haven't seen yet, in my potting shed had an enormous, massive hornet's nest. When I say massive, I mean the hornets are like this. They come down on you like a spitfire. You know, so I was careful there. Hornets, no stingy. Wasp nest upstairs, no stingy. So I thought, I'm going to get you guys a picture of this because they're very unusual. Mike told me he has seen them in holes before in the ground. Set the camera up. You can see them all buzzing, in and out they come, in and out they come. Now I'm a child of the 1950s. Now in the 1950s, when you were growing up, there was no internet, there was no Wikipedia, there was no way of really knowing how things work in the world. And some of the older guys out there might confirm these suspicions I've got, is that the only way we learned when we were school kids, playing, and we did actually go out and play on our own or in groups, was by pain, especially boys. You had to try something by pain. Climb up on that branch there, Bill. And I want to see you're safe. If it breaks, tell us if it hurts when you hit the ground. Trust me, there's some up there. Smith was one of them. Crash, ow, broke my wrist. Oh yeah, I know not to do that then. So it must be, at the age of coming up 71, still in my brain, that I wonder what would happen, could I make them come out a little bit more if I got a piece of 3x2 timber, short, and whacked the ground. Could I disturb them enough to make them come out? Oh yeah, I did. You could see on the camera how they go nuts. The worst thing was, I've got the ear defenders on, so I'm thinking, I suppose I can't hear them, can I? And I reckon they were like this. So one gets in, the headband part of it, yes, he nails me on the top of the head, not once, but twice. It's not pleasant, it really is not pleasant. So I just thought, Smith, do not laugh. It really is not pleasant. Write it out. I must not laugh at Mr. Pullen's scalp with his red head and his... What a boy. Anyway, I just thought it was amusing. It wasn't at the time, but it's something different. Has anybody else noticed wasps going in the ground rather than up high? So, just a random one. It's theory time. Let me know if you enjoy it. I've got loads of other different stuff file there I'm going to tack on. I'll just put them on the end of the fishing films. Look, it's something for you guys to watch. No one else out there, I don't think, is doing this stuff. And it's nice. Somebody might learn something. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? I've learned. Don't get a piece of 4x or 3x2 timber and start banging on the ground to see if the wasps come out. Yeah, they will. We'll see you next time.